April 26, 2018, the story of the abortion clinic in St. Joe County. So one day, I was living in Osceola, and I walked out of my bedroom, and I'm married now, and the boys are, I don't know, 12 and 11, and Gabe is about 3 or 4, Mariah's little, and the Lord, I'm walking from my bedroom down the hallway, and the Lord speaks to me. And He says, I want you to go to the abortion clinic next Wednesday from 12 to 2 and pray. That was it. That's what He said. And it came out of nowhere, and it's like, wow. And I went into the kitchen, got a cup of coffee, was sitting down. Paula walks in. I said, Paula, the Lord spoke to me this morning. And He said that He wants me to go to the abortion clinic next Wednesday from 12 to 2 and pray. And she, we're talking. She's like, oh, really? Yeah, blah, blah. So, all right. So, a couple days later, I was working and driving down the road. And, I want to backtrack. So this was interesting to me because about 25 years earlier, it's been a long time. I don't know why I say 25 years. I was a youth pastor on Fern Day. I was living on Bowman Street, so Gabe was not born yet. It was like 1994-ish. And I felt led of the Lord to call a couple of my friends and organize a protest at the abortion clinic, the same one on Ironwood Circle. So this is 25 years earlier, and so I called Edgar Cabello, who was a youth pastor at Calvary Temple, and then he was the pastor for years, and then he resigned. And I called a youth pastor at Granger Christian Church, GCC, who I had been praying with. I said, hey, let's grab the youth from our churches and let's go over and let's picket at and protest at the abortion clinic. So back in that day, you get signs and there were sit-ins and they'd block abortion clinics. Well, we're just gonna march up and down and be there, make our presence known with signs and pray and whatever. So I pull in there on the Saturday morning with Paula. We parked at the McDonald's right next door to it. And I look over, it's like, what is going on? And there's 3 or 4 cop cars. Their lights are on. There's like over 100 people. There's signs everywhere. And adults and kids and cops, and I go walking over there with Paula, and I'm like, wow, look at all these people, and I'm standing near the abortion clinic, and here comes the abortionist, and he's angry. His name is George Ulrich Klopfer. George Ulrich Klopfer. German guy. To all my German friends. Anywho, I'm standing there with some adults and here comes George up towards us, and he's cussing and he's yelling, and come to find out, somehow he had found out about this protest, he had called the cops like he needed protection or something. And yeah, I just almost said like a couple bad words. Like he needed protection. and and he shut down his clinic that day. I later heard that there was a mother that saw the commotion, and then the clinic was shut down and she left, and I heard later she had decided that was the final straw not to get an abortion. So I don't know if that's true or not. So anyways, he goes up, who's in charge here? And there's cops there, and there's adults with me, and there's him. And someone said, like, they pointed at me. And who do you think you are? You blankety, blankety, blank. He's in my face. I said, well, tell you who I am, George. I'm Phil Williams. I live at 1602 East Bowman Street in South Bend. So that way you know where to find me, George. And that was a little bit of the West Virginia in me. And he's screaming at me. He's in my face. And he says, let me tell you something. Jesus F's sheep. He said the word. Just so you know, Jesus F'd sheep. And on, and saying other things about Jesus. And I said to George, I says, George, before you die, I kind of stepped up to him. Before you die, you need to repent, or it will not be well with you. And that really put him over the edge. So anyways, cops and everything. So see you later, Georgie boy. And George leaves. And I don't think I said see you later, Georgie boy, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking of those bad words again too. And so it was really hard for me, but over the years I've prayed for George that he will repent. And all right, so anyways, so fast forward now 20, 25 years, I don't know, and God says to go back. I had not been back in all that time. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, I've got an assignment. I'm going back to the scene of the crime on a Wednesday at noon from 12 to 2 to pray. And I knew I was not going to be late, and I was not going to leave early, and I was going to make that appointment. So the week goes along, and a couple of days later, my phone rings in my car. And, hello, this is Phil. That's what I always say when I answer my phone. And the voice says, hello, this is Jeanette Burdell. I'm the head of Right to Life for St. Joe County. Was I supposed to call you? And I'm like, so the Right to Life of St. Joe County is right by the abortion clinic, right where I would be praying. And I'm like, why? I was shocked that she's calling me, and I have no idea why she's calling. I've never talked to Jeanette Burdell in my life. She says, well, was I supposed to call you? And I said, no. And she said, are you sure? Because I've got your card right here on my desk with a note that says to call you. And I was in mortgage banking, so was my loan officer business card. Jeanette, I don't know how you got I don't know, but no, you were not supposed to call me. And she said, okay, well, sorry to bother you. And I says, well, Jeanette, while I got you on the phone, I said, on Wednesday, of this coming Wednesday at this point, I want to come to the abortion clinic and I want to pray from 12 to 2. And she says, okay, that's fine, Phil. But don't stand right next to the abortion clinic. Stand way off to the side because, we don't want to cause any problems. So just stand way over there, out of the way. When you pray, that's fine. Not a problem. I says, I do want to bring I'm not. And she says, don't bring any signs. I says, okay, I won't bring any signs. But I said, I do want to bring a flag. It's called an Appeal to Heaven flag. And I just want to stand there and hold the flag and pray for 2 hours, way off to the side, and then I'll be gone. She goes, that's fine, perfect, thanks, okay. So, the Appeal to Heaven flag, well, Google it. So I, now I'm fired up. I got home, Paula, you're not going to believe who called me today. Jeanette Burdell. Who's that? I don't know. Guess she's the head of Right to Life. Why would she call you? I don't know. But now, God's assignment, Jeanette's, now I know. Okay. I mean, I knew anyways. But now, okay. So something's up. Something's up. And I got excited. So I started thinking about this. And it's like I'm going to go there at high noon, like in the Westerns. So I do what you call, quote, I started, quote unquote, leaning into this situation. It has nothing to do with God in heaven. He probably thinks I'm crazy. But, all right, it's going there at high noon. It's like they used to have the shootouts. I'll meet you at high noon. And then I thought of the OK Corral. So I started thinking about the OK Corral. And I started, okay, it was done in Tombstone, Arizona, I think. Tombstone. Oh, man. Look at all these tombstones from all these kids. And then there's a doc involved. And so I look up Wyatt Earp, and I'm all about names and stuff. And so look up Wyatt Earp. What does Wyatt Earp, what does Wyatt mean? And it means warrior and this and that. But then at the end it said the French have a different take on the name Wyatt. To the French, it's always the French. To the French, it means a little tyke, like a little boy. Oh, I thought about the tombstones, and I thought Wyatt Earp, and I thought the little boy. All right, so now I'm getting kind of pissed, and it's all coming back to me. And so I'm going to dress up like Wyatt Earp. I told the people at my church on Fern Day, I'm going to the abortion clinic. I'm going to dress up like Wyatt Earp. And they go, you look more like Wyatt Burp. And I didn't care what anybody said or thought. And so I called a friend of mine. He had the real deal. The cowboy hat, the big coat that comes down to your shins, rain gear type coat. And he had boots with spurs. Oh, yeah. And he was everything's a little big on me. So I look goofy. And so I pack everything in the car on that Wednesday. I take off about 11 because I'm not going to be late. And then it's like, okay, now, Lord, I want some weather. I want some hail and some snow. It's like March the 19th. That's when it was. March the 19th. And I got out and I told my wife, I'm going as Wyatt Earp. I said, I need a Calamity Jane. And I had no takers. Nobody wanted to dress up like Calamity Jane to go to the party with me. And so I'm going myself, and so I get there and I got there like 10 till 12. I get over in my little corner. I'm holding my Appeal to Heaven flag, cowboy hat, cowboy coat, cowboy boots with spurs, my black gloves. It was kind of cold. And over to my right, about 100 yards, was the abortion clinic, and there were some ladies, and they would stand there and counsel anybody that would walk in. And so one of the ladies walks over, and she's an old lady. Her name was Sharon. And she walks over and she goes, "What you doing?" "Oh, I'm just standing here praying for a couple hours, Sharon." And, I look like I look. She never brought it up. Probably thought I was crazy. And, "Oh, really? Well, I just thought I'd come over. What you holding there?" "It's called the Appeal to Heaven flag, Sharon." I said, "You want to hold it with me for a little bit?" "Oh, I'd love to hold it with you." And so she takes a part of the flag, and I take a corner. We're standing there holding it, and she said, "Yeah, I've been coming out here for Lent, you know." She's Catholic, so I'm coming out here once a week, and I pray. Oh, that's nice, Sharon. And so she's holding the flag with me, and all of a sudden, I look at her, and she's wearing a bolo tie, like a Texas tie. And she goes, "Oh, look, my tie matches the flag," because the flag has a green evergreen tree on it. And all of a sudden it hits me, because I'm not the fastest, most highly witted person. Sharon, she's got a Texas tie on. I go, "You're my Calamity Jane. You've come to help me bring calamity to the devil." She said, "What, this?" She goes, "I don't know why I wore this." She goes, "I was on my way here, and I stopped, and I said, I got to go back and get that tie. I haven't worn this tie in years." But I turned around, went back home, because I knew I was supposed to wear this tie. "You're my Calamity Jane," and we laughed. So she stuck around for about 5 minutes, had enough. She went back to the corner. So there it was, holding the flag, and not a lot of traffic, because it's on Ironwood, and it's called Ironwood Circle. You turn left, and you come in, and there's a cul-de-sac. That's the circle. And then, so no cars at all. So I'm just doing what I'm told to do. And all of a sudden, at 12:30, here came a car. So I got at attention, man. I held the flag out straight, and here comes the car, and I'm looking at this car, and it's got tinted windows, and I could see through. There's a couple people in the front and a guy in the back seat, and the man in the back seat was looking at me as he came around the curve, and looking at me like I'm a nut. Well, I looked like a nut, and I was like, oh, you want some of this? Come and get it. And I'm standing there, kind of take a step towards him and kind of pull on the flag a little bit. It's like, "You want some?" And it's West Virginia again. And they pull into the abortion clinic. I'm like, oh, they're probably going to have an abortion. And they got out of the car, and I couldn't really see, but they got out, they parked in the front, and they walked into the abortion clinic. And they were in there for about an hour, and then no other cars came. That was it. And at 1:30, I could see them getting back in their car, and Jeanette Burdell came out, and she was standing over by the other ladies, and she was standing there watching, and they get back in the car, and at 1:30, and they drove away and they left. Jeanette Burdell turns around, looks over at me and waves, and walks back into the Right to Life building. And when the car left, all of a sudden, because I'd been wanting some weather, all of a sudden it was cold, but it didn't rain. It didn't snow, but it started to rain. And the rain started coming down. Not a lightning storm, but it was coming. It was raining. And for 30 minutes, I stood in the cold. I stood in the rain. Water just pouring off the front of my cowboy hat. Just coming down. And I was like the happiest person in the world. Oh, it's raining. I'm like, thank you, Lord, and just coming down. And I was keeping pretty dry with my coat, just water pouring off the front of my hat, like in the movies. It was like in the movies. And, oh yeah. So till about 5 after 2, okay, done. I was cold. Get back, I walk over to the car, get in the car and leave, and go to Fern Day. I change, get out of the wet clothes, and I had a closing at 3. When I went to my closing at Meridian Tile at 3, I thought to myself, if you people only knew where I'd been the last, you'd think I was crazy. So, So I get home, Paul, how'd it go? Oh, good. I told her about Calamity Jane. Oh, that's nice. Da, 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 da. So I'm always checking on on the internet because my phone. Because George Ulrich Klopfer had been under investigation for not turning in proper paperwork that Jeanette Burdell had reported on. And now the state prosecutor, who I went down to Indianapolis to talk to him, was investigating George Ulrich Klopfer and to bring him to justice for what he had done and maybe get rid of his license. And so it had been going on since like September. So October, November, December, January, February. What the heck? What the crap? Nothing ever. No news ever. I don't know what takes these people so long. And so the next morning I get up, Thursday, I get my phone and I check for the South Bend Abortion Clinic, knowing it's the same as been for 5 or 6 months, and Paula's making the bed, and I look at this phone. It said, yesterday, St. Joe County, what kind of unit was it? Special Victims Unit, the St. Joe County Special Victims Unit, yesterday, which was Wednesday, raided the abortion clinic in South Bend. The St. Joe County now, they are investigating and are going to prosecute potentially, and they raided with subpoenas Special Victims Unit. Yesterday, the day I was there, I was like, oh my word, Paula, yesterday, must have been after I left, blah, blah, blah. I keep reading. I couldn't believe it. And I keep reading. It says, at 12:30, they arrived with subpoenas and raided the clinic and left at 1:30. And I'm looking at my phone. So that was the car. So 25 years after I'm with that wicked man, Jesus sends me back there from 12 to 2. And while I was there, that happened. So, anyways, 2 years later, looking back, I'm just glad to be part of whatever Kingdom was doing. Just being obedient. And what difference did that make? Probably none. But I did what I was told, and Jeanette Burdell's doing what she was told, and thousands of other people as well. But 2 years later, it was a Sunday morning, almost to the day, that I went to church, and I told Alan Mock, I said, today is the first, they had a vigil. My son called me, Dad, they're having a vigil. They're shutting down the clinic. Klopfer was found guilty. Klopfer was out. He wasn't going to appeal. He was done. And they had a vigil. Can you imagine the evil, demonic men and women who came to have a vigil at the abortion clinic so they couldn't murder babies anymore? I said, they're having a vigil? I'm like, I'm going to that vigil. Yeah, I'm going. And then I thought, maybe not. So I didn't go. Oh. But on that Sunday morning, the vigil's over, they're shut down. It was the first time in 30 years that there has not been an abortion clinic in northern Indiana. So that was awesome. And so that's the story of my two experiences at the St. Joe County Right to Life Abortion Clinic back in, I think it was March of 14, and then it was over March of 16. Pretty sure. Anyways, all right, that's it. And that's all I have to say about that.